So you have the choice of a lot of different environments or deployment models, as they like to say. So from the standard environment, you actually can standard commercial cloud, use different isolation that I talked about, adding on logical isolation and physical isolation, depending on the requirements. And then GovCloud, you actually can do these other compliancies. The one thing that I'll say here is that in all cases, all of these can be just as secure. Remember when I talk about secure and compliant? The main commercial cloud is just as secure as the GovCloud environment. In GovCloud, you have to have U.S. persons doing it. So if you don't have a U.S. government or a U.S. persons requirement in your space, it can be just as secure in the regular environment using those same control sets. It's just because in GovCloud, we're meeting the ITAR, the U.S. persons requirements. So this is the mindset to remember, is identify that which your compliance and security requirements are, and then select the model that actually works for you. So I'll press on here because I know we're close on time. From this standpoint, what we actually have here is a little bit more focused towards government users, but nonetheless does kind of apply in general. And that is that we have a plethora of security documentation. That documentation is available to our customers and to our customers' customers, meaning that I have that SOC 1 report, which is essentially what a SOC 1 report is that we have a bunch of controls that we have a third-party auditor come in and test us against, and then they put out a report every 6 months. And that report is based upon our last 6 months of operations, and that goes on forever. So every 6 months they come out with a new report based upon how we did in the last 6 months on that control set. And that's something that we make available to our customers just upon request. One of the things that's required is an NDA. That's just so that you don't pass copies out to everybody else. From that standpoint, we actually have customers like Appian that have other customers that are based on our platform. So a lot of times you guys would want to see that. And in that case, we're more than glad to do so. We just have to have an NDA with you directly, not with Appian. Because an NDA with Appian doesn't do us any good if you go ahead and make copies for the internet. So the whole idea there, so if you are in need of, from a compliancy standpoint, access to a lot of the security documentation that's provided under NDA, so not the white paper, things like that are readily available on the website. You can download those all you like. But when you get into actual audit documentation, that's stuff that you actually just have to request, and we'd be more than glad to do so. So just remember that it's one of those processes that we're just trying to protect our intellectual property and how we operate internally while still allowing you the data that you need in order to be compliant. The big thing that I started working when I came to AWS is to be as transparent as possible whilst not increasing vulnerability to those customers that are already on the platform or that will come to the platform. Remembering that one of the big things that we always get requests for is tours of the data center. I just came off of vacation, and one of the things that, I don't vacation in your data centers, I don't want you vacationing in mine, is the mentality that we have. So that is we don't do data center tours. It's the whole idea is that if I let you in, what's to stop from having someone else want to come in behind you, and do we put a rotating door in, that whole physical security thing I talked about burn away. So the whole idea is to have third-party auditors that are trusted, Ernst & Young, Secure Info, companies like this that are respected in the industry come in and test us. And if we fail, we fail, and it goes out to you guys the same way. We don't have any way to stop that intentionally. So that way we do the testing that way. In this case, from a security side of the house, one of the things that, like I said, we've recently been going through for quite some time actually, is the various different FISMA, so the federal requirements in order to host government data and for them to host things such as Treasury.gov website is on AWS, Recovery.gov website runs on AWS, as well as other things on the backside of that. And in order to be able to do that, you have to have these things called an approval to operate. And that is you go through the whole compliancy testing, meeting the stack of control requirements, over 300 controls. And from that, you then create the documents and the requirements to do so. For those of you that may be in the government space or work in the government space, and that's the thing, sometimes just because you don't from a commercial environment, sometimes if you want to sell to the government and you're a commercial, you then have to start to deal with some of this. Is that we actually have the ability for you to go ahead and use our approval to operate in order to take care of that lower level, so everything from the the bottom layer of the data center floor all the way up to the hypervisor, depending on the implementation, maybe to the virtual private cloud, the documentation to do that. And with that type of an environment, then we are able to pass on that capability to you. If you have a need in that space, feel free to reach out to your sales and BD team, and they'll be more than glad to hook you up with ours in order to take care of that. With that said, this is the overview. This is an eye chart. I'll provide the slides. They'll be available for you to be able to have after the fact. This is one of those ones you bring in to the boss and say, here's the security model. A lot of stuff, you know, from that standpoint. And with that said, any questions? I bored everybody to tears. I know. Security right after lunch? Are they kidding me? Okay, thank you.